And welcome back, everyone, to What If Deku Was Force Sensitive? He Had the Force, Part 5, The Return of the Jedi. That's the episode I'm going with. And at this point, yeah, now he is more or less a Jedi. Maybe just a Padawan or at best a Knight, but he's a Jedi. And last time we left off with Deku, saving Kota and embracing both the light and the darker aspects of his personality. Those rougher, more intense emotions that can lead you to the dark side. He's understands that these are a part of him, and he needs to embrace both sides to be a true hero. Which then B leads him to him finally focusing the Force into his crystal, and us seeing him achieve his lightsaber for the first time, assembling it with Obi-Wan. And as I said before, he will fall, at least in this version, or this story, into a purple. Just now, if we were to really go into Deku's personality more, so he probably would lean more towards either a green or a blue, to be fair. But for the sake of this story, the way it kind of needs to play out, I actually think purple is good, because Deku does need to embrace darker aspects of his emotion. He does need to embrace his rage, his fury, his anger, his resolve, his passion, in order to get certain things done and to become a hero. But while we are waiting for Deku to train into his signature ability, which again he probably figured out shoot style admittedly, he's also probably practicing with his lightsaber more than anything else. Something does have to be addressed here. That is, what style of fighting does Deku actually incorporate with his lightsaber? Now, being trained by this version of Obi-Wan probably has knowledge of a lot of forms, but he doesn't actually know how to teach certain forms. For example, he doesn't probably know how to teach the 7th form. Now, for anyone who's curious, there are plenty actually, but there are 7 basic forms of lightsaber combat. There is Form 1, which is Shicho, which every Jedi learns, starting out in the temple. Basic, strikes and blocks, all that. Then there is Form 2, which is Makashi, which is the one right up top there. Makashi is the duelist form. Deku is famous for being a Makashi user and one of the deadliest blades in all of Star Wars. But it is a dueling fencing style, predominantly for one-on-one combat. This style I don't think fits Deku very well. A, because there are no Sith or Jedi anymore, just Deku. And B, it's not good against multiple opponents, which would probably be advantageous for Deku to know. Then there is Sarisu, which is the third one from the top there, where you see him blocking the battle droid. That is the defensive style. This is the one that Obi-Wan himself was most well known for. It involves counter-striking, blocking blaster fires. There's not much offense to it, but it can drain the stamina of your opponent pretty well, because it's like beating against a wall. You just will wear them down and then get in for an optimal strike. So that one does fit Deku a bit better. But there's also Atara, which is an aggressive offensive form that involves a lot of acrobatics, force enhancement as well. It's a tiring form, but it is a skilled form nonetheless. Both Qui-Gon Jinn and Yoda were both masters of this form, particularly Yoda. Then you have, now, if I get that up there, Jimso, or Shenso, depending on how you pronounce it. This one is, now I had to look it up again. This one is specifically designed for more blaster combat than anything else. Deflection, all that. Whereas Sariso has some of that. This is very much like to deal with projectiles more than anything else. In fact, I'm looking that back up again because something about that isn't registering right in my head here. Let's see here. There forms straight from Wikipedia, folks. Let's see here. Jim, where are you? There we go. Shen or Dimso is 2 fluid disciplines of the lightsaber combat, which were considered physically demanding styles due to the requirement of quick transitions and dedicated defensive stances to all-out attacks. The Shen variant emphasizes blaster redirection and practitioners could utilize a reverse grip. That's what it is. This one, even though Sariso could be used for deflecting lightsaber or blaster bolts, that was specifically for that. It could be useful to Deku, but Deku can utilize it in whatever form. Then there's Nemon, which is considered the jack of all trades style. It takes a little something from everything, but it's not a master of anything. The difference is this is the form that is most utilizing force along with your lightsaber. This also would probably be very advantageous for Deku. And then there's Juyo/Vapad, which Deku would not be using because this is the most aggressive form of lightsaber combat. In Juyo, it's just constant aggression no matter what, very little defense, and just overwhelming your opponent. Whereas with Vapad, it's similar, but you have to embrace the negative emotions coming off your opponent to strengthen your own self. So, similar, but not different. So, if I were to say what Deku most likely, after looking over the forms, is probably trying to learn, he's Shincho, the first form, is the one he's going to be practicing in regardless. But most likely, the three forms he'd almost certainly, again, Dimsho is and Sarisu kind of can do the same thing. Sarisu just works more also with lightsabers as well. He's probably learning a mix of Form 3, Form 4, and Form 5 and 6. Very little of 5, but just enough to know how to block, like, say, Energy Blasts. But it's most likely a combination of Form 6, 4, and 5. 6, 4, and 3. That's what he's probably learning in combination with. So his style would most likely be a lot of defensive acrobatics and utilizing the force when he needs to, similar to Yoda, actually. But knowing when to strike when he has to. And when he has to actually push the offense. That's where the Ataru part comes in. So that's what Deku's demonstrating, along with his shoot style. He's also not just utilizing the force, mind you, but utilizing, one for all as well. Right now he's probably right around a 10%, so he's much stronger here than he is in his canon counterpart as phase. And Bakugo's probably noticing this and just doesn't care personally, but doesn't like it either. Deku's also showing off that he can definitely do something like creating like a dust tornado with the force, and then just boom, then following up with like force pushes, all that. And then you get into the provisional license exam. So the initial test when they start up there is the whole getting hit by the ball, hitting the targets, all that. Well, Deku is smart enough to know that, I could stop the balls coming, but he just puts up kind of a mild force barrier, which stops the immediate, somewhat of, weirdly enough to use a Bleach analogy, Baragon's time dilation. Almost looks like time dilation. That's what it'd be. He's got like a little bit of a bubble of force energy around him. It's not stopping it, but it's like instead of a ball just rushing in, if it's rushing in like fast, it goes, instead of just rush, it goes, once it, say, hits this place, it rushes and then go, and just starts moving at that pace instead. And Deku's just boop, boop. And even Toga isn't able to just tag him immediately, because even she's slowing down enough that he can actually pinpoint where she is for it. He can feel things in his little force bubble, which is good because otherwise, even with like a force sense, he's still not sensing Toga. She literally out danger sense. She was a blind spot because she didn't attack out of malice. She attacked out of love, and so Deku couldn't find her even with danger sense. But with the force, and his natural force senses, he can maybe pick up on her, but it's not a guarantee. That said, he can certainly kind of pinpoint where she is thanks to his force. And so when he senses her coming, he dodges and manages to. I imagine I could have totally seen. I don't know where her 3 circles were, but I could have totally seen her character putting one on her ass and be like, "Go ahead." It's like, "Oh, naughty." He's like, no. Just throws a ball. Force throws a ball. It's like, "Oh, no fun." You're so innocent. I love it. I could have seen her doing that. That being said, I think maybe Deku does get taken by surprise by her at one point, even though with the force barrier up, she realizes, "Oh, you've got some sort of telekinetic ability. That's really interesting, Deku. I really want to get to know you more." And she kind of is able to bypass it just by rushing it a little faster and manages to tag him once, but he's able to, like, "Nope, sorry." And he uses some binds or whatever to kind of keep her binded, but she's able to get out in time. And so, the whole Uraraka thing, he senses, protects Uraraka, saves her, and just slaps the ball away once again. And I can also see Uraraka, or the fake Uraraka, Toga, looking and say, "Ooh, what's that on your waist?" Deku, by the way, has probably gotten his permission to use this as a hero tool, or a hero accessory, whatever you want to call it. It is a weapon, and it's a sort of pure plasma. like concentrated, not just plasma, concentrated plasma into a little beam. So that thing there's nothing in the My Hero world that I don't think this thing could cut. It's actually a good question. Do you think there's anything in the My Hero world that we know of that is durable or heat resistant enough to not be cut by a lightsaber? I don't know of any hero who's that durable or has a quirk that would resist it. I mean, there's energy absorption quirks, yes, but I don't know. Let me know if you can think of anything. Like All For One, for all of his power, still could have been cut by a lightsaber. All Might still could be cut by a lightsaber. Shigaraki could still be cut by a lightsaber. Like there's nothing to say he could not be. Even with all those quirks in enhanced regeneration, all that, there's nothing to say you couldn't be cut by that thing. Get your head taken off, that's it, you're dead, like straight out. Unless your regeneration so strong that your body just collapses and you just grow a new body out of your head. But I doubt the regeneration was that tough. Though we never really see an example of if it could withstand something like that. I'm not just thinking on it. It's like, is there anyone at all who had a energy absorption quirk? Like Endeavor could certainly bring the heat, but not enough to counter a lightsaber. Yeah, let me know. Let me know if you can think of anyone, because I'm drawing a blank person. I don't think Gigantomachia would be lightsaber proof. I think he might be more closer to like a lightsaber resistant. Like his skin is so thick that even though the lightsaber would cut him, you would need to use a lot of strength, and a lot of power in the Force to make that cut. But it doesn't make him lightsaber proof. That would at best make him lightsaber resistant. And even still, it's not like just striking him, he would just ding it. It would still probably like make a gash. But if you were to say like crank up a lightsaber to like a huge size, which there are big lightsabers out there for bigger creatures, bigger Jedi, you could still probably cut his hand off or something like that. Anyway, I digress. So she tries to raise it. What is this, by the way? It's like no, don't you. It's like you're so really interesting. I wanted to talk to you more. And so she disappears. And then obviously using the Force, he just stops the balls, helps out the rest of 2-7, and basically then just, I think these belong to you, and just starts helping people nail people with balls. So there's that. Then they got to do the rescue portion of the test. The rescuing individual. He meets that one guy who's just like, disqualification, what are you doing? You should make sure I'm on check. It's like, right, I got to check on it. It's okay, here, let me help you. And then he's probably helping like Momo and Uraraka with like the Force lifting and all that. Because unlike Uraraka, who was immediately going to do that and not realize the structural instability, Deku it's telekinesis. He can literally move things with his mind. So he can just kind of like, okay, wait, I got it. Okay, Uraraka, you go first. He's like, the guys are probably about to yell, and well, Momo he came in too, but when maybe Momo misjudges, it's about to come down. It's like, I got it. It's like, wow, they worked pretty good as a team together. Obviously, Gang Orca then comes in with his troop. Shoto and that guy have their beef with it. I could see Deku coming in. Again, never once drawing his lightsaber in this. He just has it on him. Because a Jedi doesn't just immediately go for his lightsaber. In times of war, maybe. But no, it's the weapon of a Jedi Knight. So this will be used in defense, not an attack. And so he comes in. Maybe he like rushes and smacks into Gang Orca and then force pushes Gang Orca, who's like braces and goes back like 10 feet. He's like, that's a pretty impressive power there, kid. Unfortunately, time's up. It's like, so Deku passes, Bakugo does it, and he's pissed. And so he calls out Deku. Now, should note that Deku did mention about getting a quirk. If I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, because we're now 5 episodes in. This would have been part 2. And I go pretty lengthy on these particular episodes. I do believe Deku did mention, I had Deku mention that he did still receive a quirk. But, so Bakugo's just like, you're making pretty good with that borrowed quirk of yours. And so you got that quirk from All Might, didn't you? And Deku doesn't want to respond. He doesn't have his lightsaber on. He's in his civilian clothes. You got that quirk, all those abilities you use, and Deku's just like, no, I don't. This, and like he lifts, like, this isn't All Might. This isn't a quirk. This is something I can do. This isn't. I tried to explain to you. It's called the Force, and he tries to explain. Bakugo just doesn't want to listen. And it's like, just let's see how strong you really are, Deku. It's like, wait, I'm not gonna. And he just dodges. I'm not gonna fight you, Bakugo. You don't have a choice. And then finally, obviously, Deku's struggling not to fight Bakugo. He even used the Force to kind of like throw Bakugo back. Bakugo's just it's all been boiling up. You beat me at the Force Sports Festival. It wasn't even your own power. And Deku's now actually getting a little pissed off. And he just stops Bakugo outright. I told you, this is my power. So chill out. It's your power. The ones you say you got. And he has to explain. It's like, I got a quirk from All Might too. All Might thought I was the right one to get the quirk. Yes, but I had power beyond that, and I always tried to explain to you. I always admired you, and I wanted to show you that I wasn't just that Deku who was useless. And it still all comes down to him, Bakugo. Bakugo's like, fine. So you had power, whatever, but it doesn't matter. I say, why? Why was it? Why am I the one responsible? The hero, the hero vote being disappearing. Like we know he blames himself for All Might. And so Deku's like, fine, I see. All right, you want it, you got it. And then he goes full cowling. It's like, I've been using the Force so much, I didn't realize how far I'd come with full cowling. Because he's at 10%, which in the original he was at 8%, not 5 or 10. So he is, again, a little stronger here and a little faster. And Bakugo did win the fight initially. Like, he did overwhelm Midoriya. Again, if Midoriya had wanted to go all out and just kill Bakugo, he could have. He could have just gone 100%, just broke his face into nothing. But, of course, he wasn't going to do that. So, again, Deku's a little faster here. He can also augment himself with the Force if he needs to. He's not right now. He does want to test just right now all for one. One for all. And Bakugo notes that he's fast and he actually starts getting tagged a bit. It's like, that's more like it. And just does an explosion button. Midoriya, though, puts up a Force barrier. Bakugo comes in. That's not going to protect you this time, Deku! And Deku has to just basically dodge out of the way. And it gets hit. It's like, but he grabs Bakugo. And you think, I thought you'd learn by now, Bakugo. You shouldn't get caught in midair around me. And just kind of flings Bakugo like, ugh! Deku then rushes in, augmenting himself with the Force. Now kind of almost not blitzing Bakugo, but definitely moving faster than Bakugo can handle. Just and he just starts kind of like, it's one of those like rush moments where you see someone hit someone and then just fly back, and then Deku just uses the Force to rebound, boom, hits him again. He does mentally know, no, I'm not trying out that Force lightning. I'm not doing anything dangerous here. But I will not be made a fool of by him anymore. I am Deku. I'm the Zuko Midoriya. I am a hero. And so they square off one last time. Deku, Bakugo, Naruto, Sasuke. And they come in. Deku lands that shot again, and again it's a slightly harder hit. But Bakugo was like, "No, I'm not losing to you." And Deku's about to now go into the ground instead. Before he just uses the Force to flip Bakugo again and land one more strike into his face, poof, and puts him into the ground. And Deku's just Bakugo's not like just defeated like Deku was though. Bakugo just you. That's all right. That's enough. It's like, All Might, and obviously he talks to them. Poor Bakugo, I didn't realize how much you were suffering. It's like, that's not what I want to hear, you idiot. And so, yeah, well, you're getting punished, that's for certain. Yeah, later on, Deku. So that Force, the Force is, that shoot style of yours. That's what you call it, yeah? Pissed me off. And when you made me fling me around with the Force. And so, you then go into the overhaul arc. Obviously, he meets Mirio for the first time outside taking out the trash. And then, hi. And he can sense, like the Force. He actually was able to kind of sense Mirio's like, huh? What? Like that. And then, obviously, hit them taking on the big three. Mirio's like, power! Unfortunately for Deku here. While the Force can definitely aid him a little bit, I don't see it helping him here much. Because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, And I'll look up Mirio one more time here. I think Mirio loses all mass when he is... Oh, son of a... I hate when this happens. Mirio. I think Mirio loses all mass when he phases. So if he has no mass, then trying to grab him with the Force would be irrelevant because there's nothing to grab. Okay, his quirk, which is permeation. Let's see, allows him to become tangible. He can pass through any tangible matter. He can phase through walls or the ground, as well as let energy attacks pass through. While intangible, he experiences a falling sensation because he still he does still have mass. That can change up this fight just a little bit. Okay, so Midoriya, as he comes in, Midoriya, instead of closing his eyes, suddenly just stops Mirio in his tracks. Like, it's like, what? And just kind of launches back. But Mirio goes through the wall, phases. Mirio then comes up from the floor again, and Midoriya is able to sense him a little bit. Force jumps up and then just holds him again in the air. Just and Midoriya is like, he still has mass. All right then, and just phases Mirio again from the ground. Mirio phases back up, only for Midoriya to meet him head on. And Mirio just looks up as he's like, huh? And nearly and barely. Like, I could see it being like the Gran Torino situation, this where he still goes in permeation, manages to land a good shot on Deku, just like hits him in the solar plexus, takes the rest of out the rest of Class 1A. But as he goes to get his close, I gotta say, you're all pretty strong. And I gotta say, Midoriya, that he actually's got a cut on his cheek. That was really impressive. To which Nijiri and his friends, I can never remember his actual name, but Sun Eater. Actually, hold on. The name's probably in his bio here. The big three, which was Tamaka Amakichi, a Sun Eater. Sun Eater was a really good character. I like Sun Eater a lot. So he actually landed a hit on Mirio. It's like, I can't remember the last time someone was able to get a clean one on me. You're really awesome, Midoriya. It's like, oh, thanks. Tell you what, and you're gonna intern with me. Night Eye was once All Might's apprentice. It's like, what, really? And obviously, Night Eye does not like Midoriya because he doesn't think he's worthy. Which, by the by, Night Eye, not your call to make one effing bit. Like, I'm sorry. Night Eye I like, but Night Eye always bothered me because he thought he knew better than All Might. And to be fair, All Might isn't perfect either. But he just didn't want to see All Might die, which is fair. But the hate on the current successor just because All Might decided to choose him, not Night Eye or something. I can't remember exactly why he disliked him. He just didn't think he was worthy. Bitch, who do you think you are? You don't get to make that call. Like, you don't get to just deny this kid an internship just because you're pissed off at the decision your teacher made because your teacher didn't decide to do what you wanted him to do to protect himself. Like, you were the sidekick. He was the hero. And in the end, we knew All Might made the right choice. So, Night Eye just being a little petty at the moment. But ultimately, Midoriya did still win him over, which would still probably happen here. Now, granted, Midoriya can sense the turmoil in Night. Like, he can sense not anger, but resentment on some level. He can sense it. The Force lets you sense emotions. I was like, I see. You want fine. All you have to do is get this weight. Take this weight from me using, and because he can see the future. Actually, that would be hilarious. There's two ways this scenario can actually go. One, he uses his quirk immediately, knows he has the Force, and can just snatch it out of his hand and be like, but you have to use it using only your one for all, so I can test how strong you are with it, which would be fair. And All Might Deku would still fail, but he's like, he avoid hitting my All Mights. Or B, he starts and Night Eye just uses his quirk and immediately realizes, he just gets to take it out of his hand, which would be anticlimactic as F, but it would be hilarious. It kind of be a good FU for that moment and not for Night Eye. But no, I think it'd be the former, not the latter, but that would still be funny. And so, yes, he would still end up working at the agency. Obi-Wan he talks to Obi-Wan. So I'm working under Night-Eye. So he's advanced and up in his career, I see. Night-Eye was quite the formidable hero. He was All Might's sidekick, you know. Don't you know? I can see them talking while they're like practicing forms. I'm sure they're just using like Boken or something like that, not actual lightsabers. Although I'm sure they do some practice tomorrow, because lightsabers do actually have settings you can use to dull the effect of the plasma, because they just to increase the magnetic field on it. At least some lightsabers do. Training sabers do. But I can see like just light forms, all that working and saying, I don't know if you're licensed. That's true. Him and All Might had a falling out. I can also see Gran Torino there as well, because you know him catching up with Obi-Wan, maybe him eating his what they call the jelly-filled fish desserts. I don't know what they are. Not actual fish-shaped pastries. It's like, that's right. Him and All Might didn't have. Him and All Might were thick as thieves back in the day, but unfortunately, after All Might's accident, he grew very concerned for All Might's safety, which all of us did, of course. But he took it a little too far, in my opinion. All Might's a grown man, and the hero of and the biggest hero of our society. It should be up to him to make his own decisions, not for his sidekick, even if his intentions were, if nothing else, for the best. And so they initially go to they meet Overhaul for the first time, meet Aerie for the first time. Deku can sense the darkness coming off, the hatred coming off this guy. Like, holy crap. And he's palming his lightsaber. Like, he's not, like, his hand is ready to go for his lightsaber, let's say. And he's testing, you know, the waters, but Mario obviously gets in his way. He's like, sorry about that. Already, stop having a tantrum now. All right, let's go. And Mario points out, it's like, yeah, no, we need to be able to protect that girl. So we need to, you know, regroup, reform, and think this through. So, yeah, ultimately, ultimately, that would most likely be how that goes down. So, with that said, then you would get to the actual, you know, Evasion Overhaul's place. And Midoriya doesn't play a big factor until the very end of that fight, but like when Toga imitated Lockdown, I think he'd be able to figure that out. Because again, he can just feel different vibes off her than someone else, and he can remember that vibe. It's like, you're not Lockdown. You remember me, Midoriya, go on. So eventually he shows up. Now, at this point in the series, he could actually hit like 20% one for all, no problem. Here, because he's a bit more advanced and able to push it, I'd argue maybe 25. Granted, his bones are creaking at that point, but he's going toe-to-toe. He does now, though, have his lightsaber fully ignited. Like he, when he shows up, crashes through the wall, and like pushes Overhaul back. It's like, you're not hurting Aerie. He basically grabs Aerie, gets Mario out of there. It's like, and he grabs Aerie with the force, like, give her back, and he just looks on and just his blade. It's like, don't worry. I'm going to protect you. What is that? A more elegant weapon for a more civilized age. And so, you know, obviously Overhaul was also manipulating the floor. Deku has to get out there, slices the floor up to make sure there's place for Aerie to stand. And so Aerie and him get separated temporarily. Deku, though, keeps smashing into him using the force as well. He also... It's like, I still told you, I'm not going to let you hurt, and then on reflex again, remembering that feeling the first time he used it, he force lightnings Overhaul. Just, it's like, no more, and just smacks him down to the ground. Just, and you know, Deku's still injured because he does end up getting skewered in the leg a bit. Just but he makes it known, like he goes to Aerie first. It's like, it's okay. And he actually using his force healing on Aerie. He's like, you're injured, but it's okay. And she's healing, and she can actually see her injury starting to heal up. He's gotten better. That would be something that Deku would really become proficient at, I think, is force healing. Like gouges and like broken limbs are difficult still. Like that's something more you want Recovery Girl for, but scrapes, gashes, bloody wounds, that's something Deku can heal up. He's just, so you're going to be okay. She's not terribly injured, but we know she was still probably mildly injured. And, you know, the ground is exploding. It's like my bones feel like they're shaking, but I'm still okay. It's like, give Aerie back! And obviously, Overhaul comes out here. And Deku's like, I have no choice, 100%, and just gets him out. It's wait, I'm okay. Eri, is this your quirk? As you see how important she is. She's the key to rewind the society back to where it needs to be. That's like, you're no, no, and it's all. I can't remember exactly what Overhaul said in this moment, but he was blaming Eri. It's like, it's not her fault, and you don't get the right to blame her anymore. Eri, I know you're scared, but please lend me your power. And he comes in. He knows his lightsaber just can't do anything, so he just clips his lightsaber on, back on his belt, and just comes in, just boom, boom, launches. Now I do like the line. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something along the lines of, the hero will always be there for people, even if it's just a scared girl who needs to see a smile. Smile. And he's using not just his fist, but he's using the force to just boom, tear. Like, he actually, I think, uses Shatter Point at one point, like focusing on some weak points, and just using all of his power. Like he forgoes the force. He uses some force light, using Shatter Point to kind of like to go after the weak points he makes, and then he just relies not on his anger is still there, but it's backed up by passion and fury and love and light. And that's how Deku's able to balance it. Even though he's got all these aggressive emotions that the dark side leans into, his motivation, his goal, and who he is still pure. That's how he's able to balance these. Just because that's the kind of hero I want to be! Boom, it just blows up Overhaul again. Up. Unfortunately, Eri's power is still going nuts, and then Aizawa comes and just puts her down. Not puts her down, but puts her down. Shuts her down. That's the word I was looking for. And so, unfortunately, Night Eye is still grievously wounded. I think, arguably, if Midoriya had been able to get to Night Eye to help him out in this version, his healing abilities aren't good enough to just straight out save him there, but it might have been able to stabilize him enough, because we've seen what force healing just in the movies alone can do. You don't see a lot of it, but we saw what Rey was able to. Rey literally ran him through with a lightsaber. He had a mortal wound there, and she was able to repair that. Cauterization, damaged intestine, all that was healed up. Force healing is nuts. And so maybe Deku might not have been able to save him at that point, but he would have been able to stabilize him a little bit, repair some of the injury. But the amount of effort it would have taken would have just taxed Deku out. Unfortunately, he didn't get around to it, so Night Eye still dies. And he's like, and he looks at Muriel, you're going to be a great hero. And so Muriel's lost his quirk. It's like, Midoriya still feels bad. I could give you my quirk. I was like, nope, don't want it. What? It should have been you. And so, obviously, Midoriya is talking things over with his senseis, and you offer to give him one for all. And All Might, All Might, I think they're all sitting around just kind of lamenting. It's like, you really were willing to do that for him. Well, so he could make far greater use of it than I probably ever could, to be honest. And to which maybe like Gran Torino says, not entirely sure about that. What do you mean? Now, keep in mind, at 25%, he will start having the dreams now about the Vestiges, especially when you factor in the ability to with Force Ghosts. This is something where the Vestiges could actually appear in the real world, kind of as a Force Ghost. That's actually, I didn't even think about that till now. That's a cool concept. So it would actually give All Might a chance to talk to his sensei one more time. Oh man, I didn't even think about this. This gives us some good storytelling material here. I literally just thought that up just now. So Midoriya still talking to Richard. I'm not so sure about that. Look, I must admit, Toshinori has not always been the brightest bulb in the package. Hey, but he is right when he makes those choices. When he makes a good choice, it's a good choice. And with you, kid, you made the right choice. And then he just smiles. I'm going to not skip over, I'm just going to finish out with the gentle criminal stuff. Obviously, because he can now do air gusts and stuff like that too. It's like, whoa! He gets the glove for it, which that probably looks a little bit more tailored to his costume, which again is mostly just Jedi cloak with some ears attached onto it. But the cloak part, It's probably lost the years. He probably now just goes full Jedi, but it's still, I think, like a green cloak to honor his original costume. He still runs in the gentle, and like he doesn't like, he probably actually is allowed to carry his lightsaber on him at most times, but he probably just doesn't. Like, he most likely keeps it in his room because it is his property. It's not just something that the UA keeps on the grounds for. No, it belongs to him. He's just allowed to use it. Similar to like Aoyama's belt. It's his. It aids. It's a quirk aid. And this is just a tool that he's allowed to use. He doesn't have his lightsaber on him because there's no need to. If he's not on a hero mission, which he wasn't at the time, he doesn't need to have it. But using, again, Gus. Now keep in mind, at this point, he should already have the dreams with the Vestiges. And honestly, this could actually be the moment where Black Whip activates. Like, maybe he had the dream prior to that night. And it's like, oh, I don't know. And then he like aims the Gus to win. And then tries to go after Gentle, and then Black Whip comes out. What's going on? And then I was like, you were trying to grab something, weren't you? And then instead of manifesting in his head because of the Force, and the Black Whip maybe itself manifests as Bancho. I was like, you were trying to grab something, weren't you? And he explains the quirk factors. And it's like, all right, fine, that's great, amazing, but I gotta get after this guy. Oh, right, sorry about that. And, he rushes after him, and it's like, all right, and grabs him with Bly's like, what the heck is this? It hurts. Damn it. And he has to let go. But he's still using, goes down to 15%. It's like, but using the Force just keeps it. It's like, I'm not letting you go. And so it's like, you're strong, boy. I'll give you that. But, yeah, unfortunately, I've got plans. So he just turns the ground. So, what the? But it's like, I told you. I'm not letting you go. And obviously, La Brava activates the love, and they just do their struggle. Ultimately, Deku coming out on top. And so, after the sports festival, all that, Midoriya explains what happened with All Might. What? You saw the Vestiges? You saw them? Well, I only saw one. His name was Bancho. And yeah. I mean, Obi-Wan said through the Force, many things are possible. I wonder if it's a combination of the Force and my quirk mixing together. And it's quite possible. And then Bancho is like, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, well, the Force is all around us. Yeah, we learned to, trust me, back in the day, we knew more about the Jedi than you did. So I knew my fair share. And you should know that this would have been several hundred years ago, because we know All Might. We know that there's All Might's the 8th. There's 7 users previous to All Might. All Might's in his 60s. So there's at least 100+ years of history with those other users. Mind you, many of them didn't have the quirks for very long, but we know that the 4th user just trained with his quirk till he died at the ripe old age of 40. So yeah. That being said, Obi-Wan was probably near the end of the Jedi's reign, again around All Might's time, when there were still a couple Jedi around. Regardless, it's like, yeah, trust me, we know about Force. Essentially, if you focus hard enough, the Force that can allow you to do a lot of things, including communicate with the dead. It's like, what? No. Well, I mean, not that I ever knew. I knew a couple Jedi who claimed they could see ghosts, but I think it was all a bunch of hooey. But no, we exist inside you, kid. And so as time goes on, we might be able to interact with you in the real world to give you some guidance, at least in this sense. And then All Might's like, you're Toshinori. Nana says hi. It's like, Sensei, we'll see you later. Wait, no, of course Sensei would be in there. She probably did that knowing I'd freak out. Wait, you're saying she freaked you out on purpose? Yeah, she had a bit of a sense of humor. So, yeah, that's where we're going to leave part 5. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.